All right, welcome. What's up, y'all? Welcome to our first episode of the Kava Club Podcast. My name is Will. Introduce
Joe.
yourself, Joe.
Tanya.
Monica.
Monica. So, like I said, I know a lot of you guys could be our first official episode. A lot of you guys are watching this. The Kava Club Podcast is just I'm Tongan. The reason why I started this because I'm just wanted to start my journey into helping other people. People don't know a lot about me. I'm from Tonga. I came out here to the U.S. Went through a lot of struggles and hardships within myself. But I just want to share my journey with everybody. Not only everybody who's watching, but just most importantly my culture, my Tongans itself. And that's why I want to start this podcast to talk about things I go through, things that Tongans or Polynesians or in general just people going through. And hopefully, like I said, you guys, we talk about topics and hopefully, like I said, you guys can listen to this and maybe a change perspective. But I just appreciate everybody coming out here today. If you guys just watching this and have no idea about Tongan and Polynesian, don't have no idea about Kava, it's called the Kava Club. We have a Kava right here. In my culture, we do something called Fight Kava. It's we have a root called Kava. We kind of grind it into a powder and make it into a ceremonial type drink. We use it for celebrations. We use it for weddings, for ceremonies. But it's a place where our Tongans come together, and a place where we harmonize, come together, but mostly we create dialogue in this when we do this activity. So that's why I call it the Kava Club. We just come here together to create dialogue with each other, to share ideas, share thoughts, and talk about the things that we go through. And hopefully, like I said, we can start conversations, start dialogue, to only help each other out and help you guys that are watching. So, so let's just get right into it. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the reason why I started doing this because I feel like there's a lot of things that we go through. As long as that we go through that, a lot of things that we want to speak about, but sometimes in our culture, that we don't, as you guys know, we don't. Our culture is not really big into speaking out. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, right? So sometimes when we speak, when we grow up, we grow up they teach us to be whapapa, which means be respectful, listen to your elders, which are all good things. But I feel like in our generation, we're all trying to find ourselves in society. Mm-hmm. And one thing I know about happiness is something that's different for everybody. How you live your life, what makes you happy is not going to be the same from everybody else. So I wanted to start off the conversation with that. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was younger, all the old G's would just tell me to shut up all the time. I didn't have an opinion, and even as being a woman, I still don't really have an opinion. Mm-hmm. What do I think about it? I don't know. I think it can create some type of issue amongst somebody if at a young age you're always told to shut up, mm-hmm. Right? And they don't really say it to be mean to you. They just say it because they're just they're getting into an argument or mm-hmm. getting controversial is just kind of really taboo. And if you're a certain age or a certain sex, they don't feel like it's necessary. So the older you are, the more you get to say. Gender also as well. Even though women are kind of held high in Tongan culture, I can only say Tongan because that's all I am.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably what causes a lot of mental issues within our community.
Yeah.
And I mean, because the outlet should be at home. You go to school, and then you have with kids, right? And then you have all these people that have all these opinions. And then so you don't know what you're supposed to like, what you're not supposed to like. And then you go home, and then you don't have anybody to talk to about it. Because everybody's telling you to shut up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I feel like that could be a possible issue in our community, but then again, it's culture, right? So then how can I sit here and say that it's an issue if it's culture, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
But there should be an outlet, and I don't know the answer, but I do know that I've observed it, and I'm sure you all have observed it. So, passing on the mic.
Well, my experience with it, I mean, I have the same experience with you, you know, growing up with Tongan parents. Both of my parents are Tongan. You know, we never get our say, you know, even if it's right or wrong, you know, even if it could contribute to, you know, bettering the family or anything, you know, it's always up to the oldest, you know, their say, you know, comes out more, and you know, you're always put down. Well, not really put down, but like always put aside. You know, you're never really heard in the family as the youngest. With my family, it's kind of different as well. I mean, the oldest still have the final say and everything, but as we get older, you know, our voice are heard a little bit more. But at that, you know, by this time, you know, it's kind of too late for a lot of things, you know, with things that should have been done, you know, and you could have spoke out about, you know, now that, you know, we suffer that now. But culture-wise, you know, a lot of things, you know, are bad because, you know, the culture, you know, and having to, you know, quiet down. I mean, it's good. I mean, I've seen a lot, you know, of other families as well. You know, their kids get to speak out freely.
Yeah.
And you see the pros and cons in that too.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of good to like sit back from our perspective as well and be like, oh, you know, it's a good thing we're humble. It's a good thing, you know, we're silenced a little bit. Because some kids, you know, you give them a little bit of, you know, authority, you give them a little bit of say, you know, and they'll go crazy with it, you know. I think that's a kind of a pro for our culture as well, you know, to kind of teach us to be humble, you know, to not really speak too much of your mind, because sometimes, you know, we let our feelings, you know, take over and stuff. But, you know, in the long run, it kind of messes us up, you know, because now we don't speak out as much, you know, we don't talk about the things that are going on in our heads, you know, our mental issues now. Now we're learning to just bottle all that up, you know, one little, you know, flick of the switch, we all just go crazy, you know. You never know, you know, and suicides and Tongans too, like, it's not talked about, you know.
It's rising.
It's getting crazy.
Especially in New Zealand. I don't know if he's in New Zealand.
And I think that has a lot to do with, you know, just bottling all those emotions up, you know, for the longest, you know, especially if, you know, I know what, you know, everybody's parents are different, you know, some people's household are kind of like, you know, violent, you know, and you're not allowed to say nothing, you know, you'll come out, you know, smiling, you know, but really deep down inside, you know, a lot of things is happening, you know, and that's also a con in, you know, quiet, you know, being quiet, you know, and not having any say. And, you know, that's just my thought about, you know, not having any say. I mean, there are pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
You know, there are good and there are bad. Just some are worse because depending on their situation, you know. And we all got to respect, you know, each other's, you know, families and stuff, but right or wrong, what can we really do, you know?
Yeah.
But that's why we're here, right?
Yeah. I think to take into consideration, like, even for me, like, you know, when I moved in from Tongan, I came here and you know, I was trying to like adjust to everything, right? I mean, I'm just like, you know, I don't lie, I was a straight fob.
We all start, hey, even growing up in America, we start off like that too. We start off like that too.
I was a straight fob. I was proud of myself, man. Like, you know, I'm from the islands, I'm Tongan. And then, like, you know, you come here and then, you know, if you already know, like, the expectation of, you have to conform to how everybody, you have to talk a certain way, dress a certain way, and it makes you feel insecure of who you are. And what happened for me is I started like trying to be something I wasn't, right, just to fit in with friends. but not only like just in high school, but in church, in everything. And I realized for myself, like, man, I was like, for a long time, I wasn't. I was just trying to portray somebody in public, but that's not who I really was. And then I think that's not only me, but every kid that grows up that way, especially if you move from the islands.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you realize is that when you're battling, when you're trying to figure out who you are and trying to be something you're not, it kind of puts you in a place where like you don't feel like you're worthy or you're good enough. And then that kind of affects everything, your choices you do, affects who you decide to hang out with. And it's not just doing things that you want to do for yourself to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I always wanted to bring my feelings up to my parents, right?
But that wouldn't be the guy thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like I said, like they just never understood it. One thing they always say, oh, stupid la PC. That's and just figure it out. Just go, and that's like you said, I just bottled it in. I was like,
I feel like they don't have.
Go ahead.
Like just to add to yours, I feel like they don't understand because the way they grew up.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. They just emulate.
And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is like I thought that having those thoughts in my mind was wrong. I was like, man, because they tell me that's long not PC. Those are stupid thoughts. All right, and I'm like, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm stupid. Maybe
there's something wrong with
there's something wrong with me, right? Maybe like especially we live in a culture where it's very church oriented, right? So now I think, oh, maybe I'm a sinner. Oh shoot, maybe I'm not worthy. And all this, and so I was and I battled with that for a long time. And then realized like, and that's when I started making bad choices. When you don't know, like I think it was my favorite. If you don't know what path to take in life, you just take any path.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started doing things. Just to feel better about myself. Started making bad choices, hanging around with certain crowds, doing certain activities. I'm not perfect, but and then it just put me in a deeper hole, and it took it to a point where I just felt like I wasn't. I dug a hole so deep I couldn't get out of it. But luckily I met some people, that started changing my mindset. Like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with you. Okay, if you're trying to find if your intentions are good, right? If you're trying to be yourself but you're hurting other people, that's bad. Right? You can't say right. But if you're trying to be yourself, but you're doing it for good intentions, like you're doing it to help your family, that's when things started turning around for me. And that's when I decided, when you do bad things, you make a mistake, you go home, your parents, instead of like, how Tongan fans are, they just dot you, just beat you up, dot you, discipline you, and tell you you're wrong, you're a mistake. I felt like if they would have just came to me like, and just church, just came up to, hey man, you made a mistake, but it's all good. You made a mistake, it's all good. Let's something and just give me that support that I can change. I think I would have turned my life a lot more sooner than later. And then now I see I have friends. I have hella friends. I have hella cousins now, and I see that they're good people. They have good intentions. Have so much potential. But then they're in bad situations, bad crowds, and then people wonder like, how come this person is like keep doing certain things? Because he doesn't feel like he's I think like he's looking for acceptance.
Yeah.
Right. He's looking for a place. If you don't get that acceptance from home, if you don't get that support from home, if you don't get everything starts at home. That saying. If you don't get that from home, you're gonna looking for somewhere else. Even if that place is a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like you say, I think I was watching a documentary like gangs. Why do people join gangs?
Mm-hmm.
Because a gang is a support system. It's a brotherhood. So if you don't get that brotherhood from home, you're gonna go join a gang, even though it's bad. Even though they do bad activities.
More family than.
But the gangs are more family oriented than your own house.
Yeah.
Than your own home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for me that once I started doing that for myself, that's when things started getting better. That's when I wanted to change for myself. That's when I wanted to hang around better people for myself. That's when I wanted to go to church for myself. Right? I didn't go to church because my parents told me to go to church. It was just because everybody. That's when I just come. I know I need God in my life, because I see the changes and the blessings that's. But that's when I wanted to come. I wanted to do my own conversion for myself, and I think a lot of people, and I see that all the time with our polys, and I think it's just if you just have that dialogue, and that's I think that's one of the, if you just have that dialogue, the support from home, and like I said, they just have understanding from my parents. I'm not asking my parents to change themselves, or I'm not asking the OGs to change. I just want to just accept it. Hey man, like accept who we are, accept and give us support. And I think people, and especially will grow a lot more. And I think that's something that's my personal experience when it comes to that type of situation.
If I could just build off of that.
Yeah.
So my mom died 10 years ago from colon cancer.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest of 7.
Okay.
So when that happened, my dad totally shifted his like my mom was his default fixer of everything.
Yeah.
So I became that person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm now mom, oldest daughter, oldest sister, everything,
Mm-hmm.
And like one thing that I wanted to insert into this new dynamic, which is our family now, is communication.
Yeah.
Like you guys were pointing out earlier, that is like something that our families just compounded, like, and made worse by our culture, is the fact that we don't communicate enough and communicate often, and like at least create a safe space at home for that communication to be supported, so that we as people that's part of this family can feel heard, can feel seen. Because like you said, when we don't get that, when we don't feel heard at home, which is supposed to be that safe place, we're gonna go find somewhere else that will hear us, that will see us, and that is why, like, speaking from where I'm at now, seeing our kids, every day I go to the office, who's there? The Tongan kids. They're in trouble every dang time. It's because, and it's always like, they'll always brush it off as something like seeking attention. But little do they know, I know, at home you don't get that. The kind of attention that is brought to you is only when you do something that doesn't, like, that reflects bad on them, right? Or like you make them proud. So it's either or. You're either on this side of the that extreme, or the other side. And that's the only way you get that attention. So if the kids are not like the most brightest or the most athletic, then that's the only other thing that they can do is, is to get that. But like, I don't want to make this super long. I'm just saying that communication is very much needed in our families, regardless of how your dynamic looks like. For me, born out here, I was 1 year old. I was sent to Tongan. Which is why that Tongan is really good. So, stayed there. I went to Quintalote, ended up in Tonga High. All that. My dad worked for 10 years in Toroa, so I'm like a whole mixture of all of that.
Tonga High out there.
This is not getting late. No. Just play. No, but like it's like I totally can relate to you on how you come back and try to adjust everything, because it's been a whole process of trying to unlearn a lot of things. You grow up at home. Let's not lie. Our culture is so patriarchal, and then that just gets worse with all the layers of Christianity, and I'm sure colonialism. Even though we were not colonized, those ideas are also layered on that, and that continues to just overwhelm and suffocate and just kind of push us down, but okay, I spoke for too long.
No, keep going.
I just wanted to add my two.
No, it's good. Keep going.
I just wanted to add my 2 cents there.
Very good.
But yeah.
There's no way.
Kind of hit home with my experiences too. Like, I was one of those kids that sought attention, being the comedian in the classroom, just seek attention because we don't get that attention at home, Your dad don't speak too much, and when he does speak, you know how he speaks. It's always, da first, and then the lesson after, and then your mom is always a loving person, but I feel like in our Tongan culture, it's not, you know, as I grew up, you know, she was comforting, but, you know, you're always taught to be quiet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, just listen, you know. Yeah, you know, you might not understand it now, but there's a lesson, you know, further down the road. And, you know, you see those blessings too, you know, but I feel like we're all bottled up, you know, like you guys said before, we're all just bottled up, you know, and we don't know where all those feelings are going, you know, and then we seek, you know, an outlook, you know, an outlet, you know, in other people or in other places, you know, to kind of let those feelings out, you know. In school, I kind of let a lot of those feelings out, you know, got into a lot of fights, talked to people a certain way because of that, you know, and also getting into a lot of trouble, you know, those kids in the office, I used to be one of them all the time, you know, all the time, you know. The principal got so bad, you know, me and the principal was like this, you know, it was, got to know her on a first name basis and stuff like that, you know. To the point where your parents always got that, you know, they know the number that's calling, you know, like, oh, it's him again, you know, he's doing bad, you know, and also, you know, my brother too, you know, has got, you know, anger issues, you know, a lot, you know, some of our Tongans, you know,
Yeah.
they got like, they're born, you know, a certain way, you know, some
Yeah.
people just, we don't understand, you know, like how Palangis are, they understand like, oh, he's got ADD, you know, he can't sit still. They got, you know, they know where to take them, they know who to talk to about those things, you know, but we don't have that, you know. And then it's hard for, you know, those kids at home because, you know, we might think, oh, they're lingata'a, you know, why do they do the things they do, you know, and it's because, you know, we're taught to sit still, but little do they know it's a mental issue as well. You know, anger issues, you know, my brother's got anger issues, you know, we never learned how to.
We're not born
to-
that way. That's
yeah.
one thing. Like this is one, like you know, you're not born angry. You know, you're not born that certain way.
And to piggyback off of that, you know, I feel like as human beings, you know, because race is political, right? As human beings, we're all born, and we all have questions, right? And when we have questions, and we want to ask them when we're young, and then we're told to like, you know, the shutdown. Then we have the shutdown due to culture or colonialism, you know, because I mean I don't really know what was our culture before Christianity came, right? We never want to ask that. It's because it's a bad question, right? It's a question that causes stigma. It's a question that makes your parents look at you like you're evil. But that's a valid question, right? Because if humans are always learning and unlearning things, right? So what we did back in the days, we learned something that was brought to us. Then now we're seeing things, you know, in a different way because we're here, and now we have to unlearn that what they taught us, right? Because now they're going back to what we used to do. Okay, because I feel like I get where you're, you know, what everybody is saying here, because you know, when you have questions as a child, and you know, you go to your mentor or your parent or your grandparent, whoever raised you, and you want to ask them these questions, but the same response is you're nonsense.
Or you're dismissed.
Shut up. You're dismissed.
Yeah.
Just work hard. Like, why do they always want us to be a doctor, right? Like why is always the field like partaking in something that they feel is an ideal, right? Like if you're a child, right, and you're trying to find your way out of adolescence, right, and you're trying to find what career you want, right, and you know, like in Tongan communities, you know, be a doctor, you know, it's usually a doctor most of the time, or a nurse, you know, but it's like, well, what if they want to be a hairdresser? What if they want to be a makeup artist? What if they want to, you know, be a social worker? What if they want to do something else? What if they want to be a mechanic? Start a podcast. You see what I'm saying? There's a hierarchy, right, in our you know, community. There's a lot of colorism. Okay, there's a lot of, if you do this, you're better. If you don't, you're not. And then that just goes into just causing depression in somebody, because it's like, you want me to be a doctor, but you're always working, and I don't have anybody to talk to when I come back. And then I'm making all these friends that I think I need to be a part of it, because I don't have anybody to support me. But you want me to be a doctor.
Do they show up at parent-teacher conferences?
Right.
No.
I'm not saying, right, I'm not saying.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there,
Yes.
because, I totally feel you.
Right.
You hardly, you'll see the Miko parents show up at all these, little family events. They're decorating.
Yeah.
They're bringing food. And when I think back, I'm like, wait, mom was at her second or third job at the time, every single time, so she couldn't make it. Dad was also working at that time. So I'm like, I only, it's crazy. They're
Right.
not, the expectations are unrealistic.
Right.
But, super unrealistic,
Yeah.
but the support and anything that could have helped us, or boosted us up, in a sense, it was just totally not there.
Right.
So, the fact that we made it this far, all God's grace, man.
Right.
All God's grace.
That's true.
Right.
And for the way I see it is, and I see this a lot, and I think I read this somewhere in the book somewhere. It said that the best way to teach somebody is by example.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes, and I think she was talking about it, that our parents would tell us to do something, but their behaviors, what they show us, is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They would tell us, hey, be a doctor, live a good life, do things the right way. But then there's some households, like your parents, they're not living what you preach.
Yeah.
And how do you expect a kid to find his path or to achieve better things when you're not, and of course if you question that, right? Hey, I saw you, I saw you do this other, but hey, and that's where the disconnect happens. Like, okay, wait, you tell me to do something for me to live a perfect lifestyle, but then I don't see that at home. But if I question that, then I'm gonna be put down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm bad. I'm the wrong person. I'm the bad person because I'm just bringing to attention that I don't see that white tongue from my own family.
Yeah.
And I think that's something for me. That's why it's big for me. If I'm gonna have kids one day, I'll make sure that whatever I'm gonna tell my kids, I'm gonna live that, live that life. I'm gonna expect communication from my kids. I'm gonna be I gotta communicate that. So I think something. Yeah, but
Yeah. The whole shut up and not answering questions, right? That's a really big part of the miscommunication. Because if you think about it, I don't know, I would say with my family, they know me, so it is what it is, but I'm always going to have a question, because that's just who I am.
Yeah.
I'm always going to question something, because if I don't have an answer, if I can't figure out what the answer is, and if it's not explained to me where I can understand it, then I'm really not going to just sit here and listen to you, because I have my own mind. And unfortunately, everybody else does. So we're not, as human beings, we're not robots.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just do as we're told.
Yeah.
We're a little bit more complex than that.
Yeah.
And what's really disappointing about, our cultures and our ways is that they make it seem like we should. And that's a lot on a person. And it's a lot on, let alone a child. And when that child grows up, they grow up into an adult that can't really adjust to their environment, because they've been taught this whole way of just accepting things. And I mean, is it good? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that a lot of our community right now are dying from heart disease, from cancer related issues, and for what? Because we live a life that, okay, if we died, then it was God's will. I get it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to question, hey,
Is there a
maybe
better life?
is there a better
Is there
life?
a better life than that life?
Hey, maybe if I start taking changes,
taking
certain just really simple changes, health changes in life. Maybe I'm not being laupisi. maybe I'm not being stupid. Maybe I'm just trying to be better. But we're in this community now that those simple steps, it's like it's almost like if I take these simple steps, then I'm questioning God.
Mm-hmm.
And is that fair? I don't know. I don't know if that's fair. But all I know is that, you know, this particular community and, you know, I'm pretty sure folks out there and us, we've known people that have died continuously this year from chronic diseases, right? And that is because we are afraid to ask questions because it's stigma. We have a stigma towards it, like, and it's really shitty. Yeah, it's really shitty.
And just to like pick up on what you said, like, you know, health. I think we all agree health is a big part of. One thing I've always noticed, like, you know, when as a Polynesian, like, if you start being healthy, they think
they'll laugh at
yeah,
you.
they'll laugh at you, right?
They'll laugh at you.
If you're a girl,
I'm not gonna lie, that's like
I mean, but
I'm that
that's
Tongan.
but
I'm
that's
like,
our community,
you
though.
trying to fuck our whole
It's
life?
you know,
Yeah.
right? That's you know, is it right?
Who you trying to
Right.
look good for? Like,
Right.
can a girl just
Yeah.
live healthy? I'm a hypocrite. I'm saying that, but I don't live that way. But I'm just saying,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
You go. I get it, but
Yeah.
you see how that could be somewhat detrimental
Toxic,
to a community,
Very.
especially to kids too, because then they hear that they hear the joke.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I don't want people to joke about me.
So I just keep
You know.
getting worse. In my
Yeah,
health.
I want to joke about it too. So then I'm gonna start joking about it too. And now we all sitting around here dying from diabetes and heart attacks and shit. You know, I mean, it's a real thing. You know, and that goes with mental health as well.
I feel like our community too is like we're really selfish. You know what I mean? Like we're so quick to put each other down instead of seeing somebody's success and actually helping them grow. And I feel like it's so normalized now that putting somebody down is normal. You know what I mean? Like you see them growing, you see them get up to, you see them succeed in life. And they're so quick to tear them down. And be like, oh, that's a scam. What he's doing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's doing good now, and it's like, he doesn't know what he's doing. You know what I mean? Pretty soon he's not gonna make it anywhere. That's it. That's the end for wherever his success is going. It's not going any further. I feel like our community are good at doing that. Good at quick to like criticize everything. It's criticism that we got a problem with too. Is we're so easy to criticize each other instead of helping each other build. And I feel like our Tongan communities is suffering because of that. But like now, when they have like the leads out at church and stuff, everybody want to hit high. You know what I mean? Because of that reason, like they don't want to be talked about. Like if you go low, and like that's all you have. Just give what you have.
Exactly.
We always try to give more than what. Yeah. Try to hit everybody else's expectations because you don't want to be talked about. You don't want to be, the butt of the joke. And the Tongan community, that's a big thing with us. And it's sad to say that it's still going on today. Even when people try to succeed, they try to live healthy, they try to, be better for themselves and their family. And they're getting teared down by their own people, And it's not anybody else doing it, it's ourselves,
That's crazy.
And it's crazy.
Yeah. Now, so you talk about the Miss Nolly, like I know people that go to Miss Nolly's and throw hella money. They're suffering at home. They're broke at home. Like there's no money for their kids. No food for their kids. The refrigerator is empty. But then, if you complain about it as a kid, hey, there's no food, then they're gonna throw you down. Like it's not, you can't even question that.
Yeah.
And then that's when they use that's when religion comes in.
Yeah.
Right. They'll be like,
Right.
I understand, but I understand that God also does not want us to live in poverty and not have and just like drink water and kaisaimini for a whole dang week.
So the
it's so hard. Like it's so hard to kind of draw that like that line because it's so blurry. For them, it's black and white, and then for me personally, it's so blurry. Where does like common sense, ngata, and I mean, where does like religion, ngata, and common sense comes in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, cause I feel like it's all like just like intertwined with the way they see things.
There has to be a boundary.
Like,
There has to be a boundary.
There has to be.
A boundary. There's not.
But like also, I just want to mention this. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm throwing down my parents, because, again, my dad barely finished middle school.
Yeah.
And then my mom barely finished high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that there's limitations on them, and what they gave me was the best they could give me.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, you just gotta hope that yes, you're preaching something else, but your actions are doing something else. Because like, my dad and my mom would have these expectations for me, and then I'll see my dad go yakte.
Yeah.
Like, of course I won't be able to see him trying to live the life, or like, strive to be a doctor. I understand that. Yeah. Kakokita also, you have to have that understanding. Yeah. Kaya if that's their mata anga.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm playing devil's advocate right now, but then I'm also thinking of home, because it's like I'm also trying to understand that that's probably all they knew.
Yeah.
That's probably all they saw, and a lot of it also, like, there's so many different factors going into it, to this soup that becomes our family and our culture. I had this conversation with you once about that thing called kataki.
Yeah.
As the oldest child and a daughter at that, that's a huge thing. They'll layer up all of these things, and they'll be like, okay, I need you to be like this, fit in this box like this. Okay, you gotta bend your head that way, you gotta contort your body that way, because I built kataki ke lahi, he ko lahi of him up ke kataki. Can I break down one time?
Just to put it out there for people to watch it, kataki
like,
translated to be like tolerance or
tolerance, patience,
cool.
Yes, and you need the saint. You need the patience of all the saints, and then their grandmas, I guess, to live that kind of kataki that they expect. And then it gets to a point where, as an individual, you don't feel like your emotions are validated.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you were talking about this earlier, like where you begin to question if what you're feeling is wrong. Yeah. Like when you get tired, of going to MoneyGram or Western Union for everything, which is that's why I've been on my phone.
Yeah.
It was like, I get eaten up with guilt.
Yeah.
I get eaten up with guilt, because then because I've been taught that, like, even if that means that you're gonna be short on rent, even if that means you can't pay your phone bill, even if that means you're gonna be like a month behind on your car payment. But when does the kataki stop and the common sense comes in? Because like that's why that like will always stay under this this imaginary glass ceiling. Because of that, because we adopt so much of the mentalities, the practices that we were taught, because we just want to be safe, we just want to be good, we just want to live a life that is reflective of the Christian principles that we were nurtured up in, that's about it.
Just to go off of that too, like, there's a question for you guys. You guys feel like culture is a reason why religion is kind of like dying down? In a way, like, I feel like people put like culture, like, do you feel like culture is, we're putting culture before religion, or are we putting our religion before our culture? You know
I
what
think
I mean?
it's
To where
religion before our culture.
To where, to the point where are we living the gospel like with our cultural standards, or are we living our cultural standards to our gospel? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where's the line where you draw, culture and
it's blurry.
You draw culture and religion, because I feel like in our Tongan culture, like, I feel like our culture kind of stands above our religion in a way, because now we're throwing more out there, because, that's what our culture says,
Just to
like,
say something based off of that, I'm sorry for
no,
interrupting.
go ahead. No, that's a question I wanted to
No,
throw out
yeah.
there.
A good question, by the way.
Yeah.
I feel like based on your question, even when I started asking myself that same question, I was like, Olevange, like, wait a minute. Can I even separate the two now? Because almost everything that is supposedly culture is religious based and rooted. And then almost everything that is religion, it finds a home in culture. Like, I feel like they're so rooted and they're just all stuck together that you can't even tell the difference,
So should religion and culture be separated?
No, but what is culture though? That's what I'm like.
Yeah.
I'm right. You know what I mean?
Piggyback on that.
Like, it's
A lot of us, I would even say, even to my grandma, my great grandma, I met her, but even she was affected by Christianity, religion. I mean, it has been so intertwined into Tongan culture that you can't really say that we have something apart from Christianity, because it's so intertwined.
Yeah. Look at all the standards that we have.
The standards that we have.
Respect. Where does that, where do you hear that
It's
most
Eurocentric.
often?
These are all
Eurocentric.
Yes.
It's in the Bible.
It totally is, and I mean, we are not the only ones that are affected by it. All the other Pacific Islanders were affected by it. A bunch of minority countries in Asia were affected by it.
Anybody
That it just makes it hard for me to sit here and say that I know my exact culture, because I only know my culture up until the 1700s. That's where my culture has intertwined into Christianity. That's where it's been washed down. And I only know that. I don't know anything past that. I don't know anything past when the missionaries came. So for me to sit here, it's even, talking to folks that aren't Tongan. They're like, oh, do you know your culture? I said, yeah, I do. I was like, but I have to let them know. But I was like, but it's all Christian based. So your culture and my culture was the same. We're both suffering from the same oppression. We are both suffering from the same oppression. We're both suffering from the same stigmas, because in different, it's just masculinity. What does it mean to be feminine? It all intertwines into that Christian based basic rule, right? What is it to be good? What is it to be bad? I'm not saying that it's bad, because I mean, there's a lot of things that are in the Christian Bible that is good, and you should always live by whatever is good, right? But for me to sit here and say that I know my exact Tongan culture, I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't think my grandma knew that. I don't even think my great grandma knew that. Maybe her grandma knew that. You know what I mean? Not even my grandma that's alive right now knows that. Because a lot of things, when I ask her things, everything that comes out of her mouth is like,
Christian.
It's God.
Yeah.
It's Jesus, it's Jesus Christ. There's nothing ever that's solid, that's like, oh, this is what we did. It's never like, and this is just something that I've read, on my own. But I want to say that before Christianity came through, we're more naturalistic people. Like, the angels were the largest sea creatures, which were whales. I don't know anything past that, though. And that's really sad. That's really sad. And that's why it's sad. Because I still can't ask that question, and I still can't get an answer. So, again, from the beginning, like I said, the questions that can never really be answered.
Yeah, I think for me, and that's actually like a really good question, right? And I think for me, it's just like to know I think it's just knowing yourself, right? I don't think there's a right or wrong. I don't think culture, religion, everybody's different. But I think for me is I have to understand who I am and have self-awareness of what's important to me, and then I gotta find that balance and do what's best for me. So religion is important to me. Like, I have nothing wrong with it. I love God, right? But I also understand, like, faith is not gonna fix my relationships, my job, my goals.
Or pay my rent.
Pay my rent.
Maybe you will, but
I gotta go out there and do what I gotta do. I gotta go out of my comfort zone. I gotta grow, right? So for me, it's just eliminating all the voices. Well, like I said, I'm learning things that I learned as a kid, and just listen to my own voice, right? And then finding my own peace, and then just doing what makes me happy. And then I think for everybody's different. Everybody grows up in different situations, different struggles. Everybody might value church more than me, and everybody's different. But at the end of the day, it's your peace. At the end of the day, it's my life, you know. And then once I started just listening to my own happiness, because I've grew up where I put my family and my culture before my needs. You know, we grew up that way. You know, give you a paycheck, throw your paycheck to your parents, and then and you're struggling. Or right, pay. You know, if you need to give your rent money to pay a misnali, do it.
Yeah.
And I lived that way, but I realized I suffered, man. Like I wasn't growing. Like I was going through. People see me now, so I'm happy. When I go home, I'm crying in my own bed.
You're crying.
Yeah,
Your wallet's
yeah,
crying.
Girlfriend.
Everything is crying.
It's coming. The money, the day is coming. I told you steak dinner's coming. But for real, like I just like finding yourself and just finding your own peace. Yeah. Everybody's different. But then once I started listening to my own voice, and now for me at this point in my life, like if it doesn't make me happy, like if my family asks me something, I'll do it. I'll do anything for my family. But if it's gonna make me break my own happiness, it's gonna put me in a dark spot, I'm confident enough to say no, I can't do it right now. Right? My church asked me to do something. I love my church. I'll do anything for my church. But if they ask me to do something that's gonna break me, that's gonna put me in a dark place, I have to just say I'm sorry, I can't do it right now. But at the time, I will. And I think that's something that, like you guys, everything that we share right now, listen to our own voice. I'm learning things, right? Don't worry.
And to understand that it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay not to be able to fix that or provide.
Just because I say no to my family doesn't mean I hate my family. Doesn't mean I don't love my family. I'm just saying I can't just do it right now, and that should be it, right? But we live in right now. If you say no, oh, you don't love us, you don't care about us, you're a sinner.
They won't talk to you.
Yeah. No, it's just
I've done that before.
Yeah. Crazy. It's like I can't do it right now. In my situation right now, where I'm at right now, I can't do it right now.
Yeah.
But ask me a different time, and I got you, right? And I think that's what we need to preach to all our next generation, everybody growing up. Like, your happiness is important, and it's okay to say no if you're doing something for yourself, doing something for yourself, so that way you can grow. You can't help other people if you're coming from a dark. If you're broken,
can't help yourself.
If you're broken, you can't help from a place of weakness. You gotta help from a position of strength. So, and that's something that, just listening to you guys, like that, answer your question is, I think, just self-awareness, knowing who you are, and just having your own boundaries within yourself, and just doing what's good for you, and that makes you happy. And then when you're happy, then you'll be able to give more. Yeah. So I know if once I'm in a happy place, I'm striving for success, and I can give more to my family. I can't give more to my family if I'm broken.
Yeah, if you ain't got nothing to give.
Exactly.
Just give you everything I got.
I already got everything.
I can't climb up there.
Exactly.
I can't get up there.
Exactly.
It's like we all know if we climb, who's gonna climb with us? Of course we're gonna take them all with us. So like what you're saying is like, it's hard for me to accept.
Right.
I can see it makes sense. Like the accepting part is where I know we're gonna all need a lot of work with, because it's like it's come to the point where giving is our love language.
Yeah.
If you don't give, then
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and it, like, as a Tongan person, I feel like that's like the worst that someone could call me, especially if someone in my family.
Especially when you know what you've done.
Yeah.
All the things you've done, right?
Yeah. For real.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude, let's roll out that statement though.
They disregard all the things you've done for years. Both that one time you say no.
One little time you say no.
That one time you say no, they disregard everything you said yes.
Yes.
And like I said, Tongans are the biggest critics.
Yeah, they got big old hearts, man. When they turn.
Yeah. That's crazy. I got another question, right?
You
So,
wish.
that's-
He like the whole curious.
No, I mean, I'm just asking
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for you guys' opinion
No,
on
this-
the.
This is
on the
joking.
matter.
This is Tongan
Yeah,
joke.
yeah. Sorry, though. That's what this is.
Just for everybody's opinion on here. I don't know if we're running out of topics or what.
We're running out of
talk
time
about.
because we
We're running
didn't
out
even
of time.
touch upon all the three
Yeah.
topics.
No, it's okay.
I mean, we'll
Don't worry
have
about
a lot
We have
more
more stuff
time.
to work with.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the other question is, what's stopping us from the new generation from actually doing something new? Now that you guys notice getting older, you guys have a lot more of a voice
Mhm.
at home
Mm-hmm.
and in our community. What's stopping us, from actually doing something? Like
From growing
I like how you have this podcast, by
Yeah.
the way. This is great. This is a big step, I feel, to to talk to
Yeah.
our community, talk to people out there.
Mm-hmm.
What's stopping us from doing that? What's stopping us from reaching out to everybody? Because I feel like generations changed
Yeah.
a little bit. Not too much. We still got people who actually live by the old.
Yeah.
But what's stopping us, the new generations, from actually reaching out and doing something new for?
I think in general it's just like you said, like I decided to do this, right?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do this for a long time, but I never did it. And the reason why I didn't do it, I was just afraid. And I think that's
Very
fear, the fear of failure, fear of judgment of other people, fear that you're not good enough, right? Everybody has fears,
Opinions.
right? And I think it's mostly just opinion. I think honestly, the main thing why it stops people from growing, stops people from doing the things they want to do, you're just afraid of being judged by your peers and the people that's close to you. And I should have done this long time ago, but I got to a point in my life, it's like I just stopped caring about what people think, because at the end of the day, their opinions is not gonna feed my family. Their opinion is gonna put food on my table. Their opinion is
Into that. Not gonna pay my electricity bills or whatnot. You know what I mean? Yeah.
They don't pay your bills.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Exactly. So once that fear went away, that's like I took action, and this is where we're at right now. So, our Polynesian, we have so much potential. We have so much growth in our youth generation. But the thing is, of how we grow up, it just puts so much fear for them to be themselves and do what they want to do that makes them happy. If we can create, like this, that's why I want to do this podcast. If we can create an outreach and environment, a support system, then hey, it's okay. Like it's okay to be who you are, to be different. It's okay to have those thoughts if you want to question, if you want more in life. It's okay if you want to find your own peace and be happy yourself. And if people, like I said, when you have a good environment around it, you're more willing to take risks because you know that even if I fail, people still got me. I have a close group of people I spend time with, and like I said, like if I do something, and even if I fail, my friends still support me. It's not like sometimes in the community, like you said, you fail, everybody's gonna laugh, criticize you. But if you have a good support system, if you have people that got your back, whether you fail or make it or not, it just gives you more confidence to try more. Even if I fail, I'm good because they still love me regardless, and it's gonna give you more confidence to keep going. So that's when you said that's my answer. It's just everybody just watching out there, like any kind of fear that you have, limitations, just what's limiting you, stop you. Just take those fears away, listen to your voice, and just do what you want. Do what you do.
To piggyback off of that, in your question, I would say the lack of curiosity. Like when you lack the motivation to want to know more and to want to ask a question, to and I guess that's off of fear as well, right? You're gonna be in a standstill, and you're not gonna grow because you're not open. You haven't opened your mind to challenge the statements that people tell you on a daily, and then their statements become your reality, and then you just sit still, and you don't grow, and then you get, I don't know where life will take you, but it may not take you to where your potential, to your potential. So I would say that is something that is detrimental, and I think that our environments. I think that most Tongans coming out from, you know, Tonga, or even if you're here, we come from low income communities. So
Mhm.
that alone is something that's against us, right?
Mhm.
So, you know, building realistic goals and then doing it slowly is probably the best, right? Because to understand where you are in the U.S., you know, currency wise, is super important. This is a capitalistic country.
Mhm.
You know, anything that you put in your body could kill you. Anything that
Okay,
you
money.
work for can be taken from you. And this is a game. And so for most PIs that come here, you come here with good intentions
Mhm.
because you want to build a better future for
Mhm.
yourself and your family. But what most of the time ends up happening is you come here, you work low end jobs, you get sick, and then you die. It's really, I know it's shitty that I'm saying this,
Yeah.
but it's the reality of
That's
it.
the truth. That's real.
It is the truth.
That's real life right there.
It's real life, and you know, it's just important for our community to have to stay conscious about that. You know, like, not everything that they sell you or that's on TV is going to be good for you, and not everything that you think that you need, you may actually not need. You know, so you have to just kind of build yourself, and you have to research stuff. Because unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that we have here, a lot of the products that are sold haven't even been FDA approved. Only 8% of all products that are sold are FDA approved. So,
Well, like guinea pigs, huh?
right,
In a way.
right. So there's always hope in disparity, but you know, just understand where you are. Try to build more questions and see where you want to be, because you can get there, but there may be a different route. Kind
I
of
feel
like,
we're just asking the wrong questions
yeah,
in our community.
So that's the thing. You have to ask the wrong question and you figure out the
right
question.
answer
You have
is
to
right.
ask. If you're not given the opportunity to ask, you will never know what's right, what's
Right.
wrong if you don't ask. So you have the key is just ask.
Just ask.
Just ask.
Just
Right.
throw it out there. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yeah, there's no such thing as wrong or right question.
There isn't. Yeah.
You just ask, and that's how we learn in life. If it doesn't work out, you figure out to do something different.
Mhm.
That's just the way how life has always been.
And it's for all minority
Yeah,
communities,
everybody.
you know, not even just us, like all minority communities that come to America, they want a better life because there's money out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is money out here, but there's also a lot of other shit,
Yeah.
you know, and they didn't want to tell you that because they need you for low income labor.
Yeah.
You know, that this president wants to kick out folks that want to do jobs that none of his folks want to do.
Political.
So you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like you have to know more. You have to want to understand more in order to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
Shit, it's not easy. No.
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't want to get into the political side.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have any opinion on that. I don't want to say the wrong things. and-
Yeah. Let's just keep
I'm
it
not a
off.
politician.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. But like, yeah, I mean,
Educate you.
yeah.
Fuck you up, but that's
no, but
another
yeah,
big-
definitely like, it's hard to start off new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just coming here, everything's new to you. You know, you start over there, you're just farming. You know, everything that you grow, everything that you hunt for. You know, that was your day to day. That was your food. That was all you needed. You know, coming here, there's a lot more wants. You know, there's needs, wants that you're new to, and I think like starting a new life out here in America is kind of hard for, our parents, and I kind of, I feel for them.
Yeah.
You know, I always feel for my parents. Coming here, working 2-3 jobs. And now I think about it. I had it easy
Yeah.
to most people. My life was easy compared to people. I had hand-me-downs
Mm-hmm.
growing up.
Oh yeah.
I've had, people tease me like, oh, he's got shoes on his, he's got girl pants on, or, some crazy
Mhm.
stuff, Oh, he bought that from Walmart. Like, he got 2 straps on his feet. Where's the shoelaces at?
Yeah.
Some
Mhm.
crazy stuff like that. But, like, you think about it now, we was fortunate to even have shoes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Our parents grew up, they was barefoot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
all over the place.
You know what I mean? Like, my mom was telling me, like, we didn't get slippers till like we was in middle school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was hard to like even keep them.
Yeah.
Cause like you walk to school, walk back, you'll have holes in the bottom of your shoe or your slipper at the end of the week. You know. And sometimes farm is good. Sometimes the harvest is bad. You know.
Yeah.
And I feel like because they grew up hard like that, because they grew up working hard, their mentality, I think that's what they wanted to instill in us, but then couldn't find the words to tell us.
Or like that
couldn't,
to also be able to express that.
They couldn't express it in a way for us to understand because we grew up somewhere
Two
new.
different generations,
You know what I mean?
places.
We grew up somewhere new.
Yeah.
And like just they didn't have the words because their parents didn't teach them, those ways, the newer life, and then that's something that they had to learn, and that's something that they had to figure out themselves, but couldn't tell you how to figure it out maybe because they didn't know what they were doing either, like math wise, like all these new stuff that they were looking at, they couldn't help you in school. All they could do was show you how to work hard, I guess. But thinking back, we might have pros and cons in, the way that we think we have it. But to me, my life, I feel like I had it easy. I had it really easy compared to my parents, compared to, family members, I have a good job now. I mean, it's still a job, it's not a career, you know what I mean? But
that's something.
It's something that, I'm not struggling.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm not struggling like my parents used to do, go yate, come home, your wife's not working because, there's no vai jobs at the time.
Yeah.
Now your parents don't have a car, they gotta walk all the way to where they gotta catch the bus. Little struggles like that we don't see, and they try to instill in you, seeing them waking up, 3 o'clock in the morning just to make it to work on time, at 6. You know what I mean? And I feel like, in a way, they couldn't communicate with us, and that kind of, had, issues with the newer generations because they couldn't communicate well. I feel like maybe if we took the time now as a newer generation, and kind of like instill that in our kids, you know what I mean? I mean, like I know our parents wasn't the most verbal. You know what I mean? They were more like hands-on, to be honest. They weren't verbal because
they sure were hands-on.
Because I feel like they didn't know how to explain everything to you. And then now we're more, we're more verbal now. We're more understanding, and we're older now. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's more of a gift to our newer generations. To explain to them. It wasn't all bad with our parents. It wasn't all bad. Maybe we didn't figure out what they were thinking about because they were still figuring things out themselves, And, one time I had a talk with my mom's and she would always bring up the good old days. I never had no good old days, but she'll bring it up and I'm like trying to remember what those were. I always remember the bad things, something good she'll bring up and be like, I remember getting beat up that day. But I feel like at the time they were learning as well, It's like coming to a new world. You're almost like a little kid too, you're trying to figure things out as well.
And couldn't communicate.
Couldn't communicate. Like everybody speaks English, they
Yeah.
speak Tongan. That's frustration right there too, And they come home, they're trying to talk to you, but you speak English. You know what I mean? And then they're like, "Oh, I don't,"
And
But
still they could
I don't know. I guess
do so much and survive.
if we kind of get into understanding as well ourselves, into like, kind of just dig into what they were trying to do, you know what I mean, as well, and not just just focusing on the bad things, that they grew up with or you grew up with, sometimes understanding both sides as well. Kind of helps us, kind of helps with the pain as well. You know what I mean? You kind of think back and like, was it all that bad though? Was it really all that bad? Was, growing up with shoes on your feet, clothes on your back, was it really all that bad? You know what I mean? Going to school, was it really all that bad? Thinking to them, they probably didn't even have a high school diploma. They probably didn't even reach that level. you know, to work hard to bring you up the way you came up. In a way, we kind of take that for granted in a way too. But yeah, I feel like if we kind of dig into our you know, our ancestors and our parents, you know, just try to figure out what they were thinking, you know, at the time.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback on what you said, there's something that helped me because, like I told you before, like me and my parents, we used to go at it because I was trying to find myself and I was trying to be who I am, but they were trying to make me be something I wasn't. And we used to battle a lot in our relationships. Our relationship was getting really bad. But then as I grew, I realized that sometimes you have to put yourself in people's shoes to understand it. Before, if you want somebody to understand where you're coming from, then you have to do the same way. And what I realized is, like, I was trying to, like, you know, I was asking my parents not to change me, but then I was trying to change them. And I had to put things in perspective and understand where they come from. And number one, the way they raised me is just what they know.
Yeah.
Right? They grew up in a different time, right? The reason why they don't understand the stuff I'm going through, because number one, like, life was more simple for them. Like, there wasn't unlimited opportunities that we have in America. You just either agriculture, you know, go grow some plants, some crops. That's the Tongan lifestyle, right?
Yeah. That's how you eat.
So it's real simple for them. When they grow up, you know what to do. You get married, get a plantation, grow some crops, feed your family. It's really, really simple. That's their lifestyle. That's their mindset. So they come up here, and then they raise me in that same type of mindset, right?
Where their goal was,
go ahead.
Where their goal was. So they grew up with the mentality of, like, just to survive.
Yeah. Too simple.
And then when you come out here, the demands are like, no, it's
different
not just to survive, but to succeed.
To thrive, because this is capitalism, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's living expenses here is not the same in Tonga. We have the Bay Area, we have rent, we have insurance, we have car payments,
Do not remind me.
right? So, and of course, like we have so many professions to choose from. It's hard when you have 1,000 choices to choose from. It takes a lot to figure out what you want to do. It's not like in Tonga you have 2-3 professions, easy, right? So I'm not, and then once I understood that, I said, oh, that's why they don't understand, because they grew up in a different environment and time.
Right.
They don't understand what I'm going through because I grew up in this time, in this generation, in this world. So once I clicked, I was like, that makes sense. So now it made me closer. Now I get why they are, because that's just who they are. That's just what they know.
Yeah.
You know what you know. If you don't know that there's different opportunity, there's different side, then you don't know. It's not their.
Yeah.
It's not
their fault.
It's not my parents' fault they grew up in that time. It's not my fault I grew up in this time.
Yeah.
But I have to make the best out of it. So once I understood that, and it allowed me to find peace with myself. It allowed me to, when my parents say something or they may disagree with what I'm doing, I don't take it as hate or as a negativity. As, oh, that's just my parents. That's just who they are. And one thing I know about our parents, they love us, no matter what. Regardless if they disagree, no matter, they gotta die, you go in.
Again, that's your love language right there.
Look, no matter they do that, but at the end of the day, they do it for love, and they love you the only way they know how to love you. But it's my responsibility to build off that.
Yeah.
Take that, and if I want a different life and that I had to do things differently, I'm still gonna love my parents the way that they are, but I'm gonna do different things with me, with how I'm gonna live my life, and build off that. You wanna say something?
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, like agriculture, like farming, right? As much as we, want to say that, this profession is this and that, but farming right now is a huge thing.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with it.
It's just crazy how you have to learn and learn and unlearn things, because the things that they're doing now in Tonga are, this is what they want here.
Yeah.
They want farms here.
Yeah.
Bees are running out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, again, opening your mind to seeing things from a different point of view. Seeing different careers and different options. Because even looking at your parents, being where they were from, right? That can very much be something of a career choice. If you really if you're into gardening,
that's what you want to do.
That's a good thing to do. It's not even a bad thing.
That's
that can build a business. You're thinking outside the box, taking what you know and then building off of it. You know, that also can be something that can be really good, and to keep an open mind about that, you know. Because, you know, businesses are always changing and things are always changing here. So.
And you just said something very important. Change. Like that's the thing. As we progress in life, and next things change. Can't be the same.
Yeah.
And that's something as a culture, like we're still trying to live our life in 2020 as we lived in 1950. The same mentality.
Yeah.
No,
So
like no, this is 2020. This is not 1950, 60, 70. Our parents grew up in. But that's something I think it's our responsibility to change that. We can't expect our parents to change that. No, that's from a different time. So we live in this time. So it's our responsibility to spread the message by doing this. That's why I'm doing this podcast. But to start teaching this to the next generation, because we're the future leaders. And we're the future leaders of our culture, of our families, of where we want to be. So it's our responsibility to do this. But yeah. But I think for the sake of sake of time,
I was like,
I think it's time to. It's like, all right. We do. But I think that's it. So thank you guys. Like I said, I think this is all at the end for our first podcast. Anybody want to say some final words? The one thing I'll start it off. Say final words. Anybody out there just watching, just seek your happiness and don't be afraid. Don't worry about what people think about you. Don't worry about the negativity. There's always going to be people that criticize you. And one of my favorite quotes is, people that criticize you will always people doing less, not more. People that are doing better than you, they'll never criticize you because they're doing better. It's always the people that's always trying to bring you down. So just don't be afraid. You know, do what makes you happy. And what she said, ask questions. There's no right or wrong answer to life. That's life. You learn as you go. It's not about the destination, just the journey that you go through in life. And that's for me. Anybody want to say any last thoughts?
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. Hello.
Man.
All right, and that's it. We'll wrap it up, and hope you guys watch the next episode. We're gonna release an episode every single month. So every single month we're gonna have an episode. So we love you guys to share this video, support it, spread it to those that need it. And like I said, and God bless all of you, and love all you guys, and love and positivity. Peace. All right.